everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're going to be shining a spotlight on a woman of horror. We have with us today, she's the author of a new book that's out on Godless right now. It's called Curb Stomp. I have with us today Shannon Bratner. Shannon, welcome to the Horror Room.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So tell us a little bit about Curb Stomp.
Well, Curve Stomp is a story of some young men who kind of grew up together. They started a band together. They're a little bit subculture, they're punks, and they're not always really received very well by people in town, small town. The way they dress and everything doesn't, people just don't accept them. But they start, getting very popular with their band. They start doing a little more shows, and they actually get a dream gig. Um, like in North Carolina, stayed over, and they run into some people that also are not very receptive to them and kind of want to antagonize them a little bit, and then it turns very violent. Tragedy strikes, and then revenge ensues.
Nice,
So
nice, nice.
yeah.
So, how long did it take you to write the story?
Actually, I've been writing several versions of the story for maybe a year. It would start one way, morph into something else, and then I would just go back and scrap it. It just wasn't working for me. But I finally was able to get it to where I loved all the characters. I loved where it was going. Um, you could really feel the pain that they were going through when they lost one of their own and everything, and you can really feel the revenge that they need to, get out on these guys, because justice was not served and they're gonna serve it.
Nice. And with the title Curb Stomp, I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds like it's just going to be a vicious ride.
And Curb Stomp is actually the name of their band as well. So it kind
Oh,
of,
nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So, so what gave you some inspiration to create this story?
actually, a couple of things. I grew up in a very small town in Virginia. I went to high school in the 90s. We had a small group of people that were, punks and everything like that. My husband being one of them, and I just know how they were treated, and things like that, and how things can happen. Also, other things I've taken, kind of stories I've seen in the news and things over the past, couple of decades of things that have happened to people, and it just kind of unfairly, how people are unfairly treated, and maybe things happen to them and they justice wasn't served for them. So that's kind of where I got my inspiration from. So
And it's an interesting idea because in society, I mean, I went to school in the '90s as well,
hmm
and there was always groups that were ostracized because they looked a different way, they
hmm
dressed a certain kind of way, they act the way they talk, and it's crazy because you think that's something that only takes place in high school, but then you get out of high
hmm
school and then you start seeing it. It happens in college, it happens in the
yeah.
workplace, it happens just in general.
Exactly. I've been again, my husband went through, certain things like that, and we would be out. We've been together since 2005, and even then, we would go places and people would say, really derogatory things to him and everything. So, I've seen it firsthand how people can be and treat people just because maybe they dress a certain way, or maybe they like a certain music, or like certain movies, or not really, fit into this box that everybody else feels like they need to fit in, and they get treated unfairly, or people get violent at times. So it's it still happens today. I guarantee.
It
So
1%, 1%.
yeah.
And I mean, people do say that the next generation is more acceptable, but I mean, I don't know if it's just human nature for us to want to put people in groups. And I just
hmm
think that's human nature to put people in groups. And like even when I went to high school, there were the thugs, there were the jocks, there were
hmm
the preps, there was the nerds, and then
Yes.
there was the goth and the awkward kids. And
Right.
like so it's just weird how we put ourselves in these groups.
Absolutely. Absolutely. and like you said, you would think that it would just be younger people in high school and things like that, but even into adulthood, you still see people, they form their own little cliques and things like that. And if someone maybe isn't like that, they whisper behind their back or whatever, and they'll talk about
Hmm.
them and not as accepting. And they could be an awesome person, and they might
Yeah,
very well be just the kind of person that you need, but because they're not wearing what you're wearing or listen to what you listen to or reading what you're reading, you're just not, no, I don't want that. I don't want that here. So,
exactly.
yeah,
Now, so
yeah.
what got you into doing horror writing? Were you always a horror fan?
Always. When I was a kid, I always gravitated more towards horror, reading, watching, and I've been writing since I was maybe fourth grade. But I would sit on the porch. I can remember and just make these little books and draw my own little covers, and it'd be ridiculous, kind of stuff. But I love for some reason. Back then I loved to write people arguing with each other. But
Hmm.
I didn't write as much as I got older. You get into other things. You're trying to find yourself. You're doing other things, and then I started reading the more extreme horror, a couple of years ago, and then I was like, I have a lot of ideas. Why can't I do this too? And then I submitted some things to Godless, and it's been awesome. So here we are.
Amazing. Now, would you like? So, I read a little bit of your book. Would you consider it more extreme horror, or would you consider it more splatterpunk?
I guess I would consider it a little more, maybe extreme horror. For just, I would consider it because it's not brutal all the way through. It's just a couple of different scenes where it's maybe a little more violent than something else you would read, but it's not all the way through. To me, and part of it too is kind of a love story in there and everything like that. But that's just my opinion. Other people may see it a different way. I see a lot of these
Yeah.
debates
Yes, I know
between the two.
because
So,
because I was literally on a podcast last week and we were debating what's the difference between extreme horror and what's the difference between splatterpunk. And it's just a
hmm
fine line, but it all depends up
hmm
to interpretation of the actual reader. So, I
right.
mean, to be honest, it's kind of hard for me as a reader to even tell the difference. It's just
hmm
I I say that
Yeah.
this is why I say when it comes to splatterpunk, I said that splatterpunk is more cruel. You know what I mean? It's
hmm
it's it's mean spirited to me.
Very. Yes.
It's
Yes.
mean spirited. I put it in the for people who are not readers, it's more of a terrifier. You know what I mean? When it comes to
Yes.
it's very mean spirited all the way. There's no humor to it. It's just mean spirited all the way to the end, and
Yes.
that's what I classify as splatterpunk.
I agree. Yes, absolutely. Again, mine's not Curve Stomp's not that way. It's just more towards the end, more towards when the bad things start happening, that's when it gets that way. But at the beginning, it's all, hey, we're friends, we're having a good time. It's not mean spirited all the way through. And Terrifier, that was a good a good
Yes.
comparison. Yeah.
Yes.
We actually went and saw the second one in the theater, and it was hilarious because a whole group of people, you could just hear them like leaving. They walked out 5 minutes after it started.
Hmm.
So that's a good analogy because a lot of people
Yes.
I see on Facebook groups and everything, they're like certain books. I made it 3 pages in and I'm out. I'm done with this. So it's
Yeah.
kind of the same.
Because cause it's hard for me to read a lot of splatterpunk because
hmm
it was hard for me to watch the first I enjoyed the second Terrifier. I saw it in the theaters as well. I enjoyed it.
hmm
The first one was hard for me to watch. I couldn't finish it. It was just too mean. It was just
Too much.
too. It's just too much. It was just too much for me. Now,
Right.
as a as a woman horror author, from what I've read so far, you did a great job because as a reader,
Thank you.
normally I could read. I'm like, okay, a woman wrote this, because
hmm
this is geared towards women. You did a great job of pretty much this anybody could pick up this book and read it, men, women, whatever. Is that
Thank you.
something that you're welcome? Was that something as
hmm
a woman writer that was hard to do for you, or was it pretty easy not to be like, oh my goodness, let me gear this to women?
Um, it wasn't hard at all, actually. I wrote this curve stomping perspective of it was a male, you know, and I've had mostly males around me all my life, and obviously that doesn't mean I can think like a male, but at the same time, I can. I it wasn't that hard to kind of get in that mindset of okay, because to me it was just a person, that I'm
Hmm.
writing. Um, I see same, I am a female, so it's easy, obviously, for me to write female characters. But it wasn't hard at all to write that way. So it was easier than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
Now, now, is it hard not to put a little bit of yourself into your characters?
Yes, yes, it is. It is hard. I do. It's anything I write. It's always something of myself or someone that I know in there to pretty much each character, really. And almost every character, not the maybe not the villain so much, but it's always something of my personality or something of a friend or someone that I know. It's hard not to do that, because a lot of
Yeah,
things that I write are based on personal experience. Again, people I know, maybe people I've been associated with at some point, kind of draw inspiration from there. So yeah, it's hard for me to pull a lot of just random things and say, I'm just going to write about this because I can't, emotionally, I can't connect with that. I have to be emotionally connected to something in the story. So,
I can imagine. Because
yeah.
I've talked to some extreme horror indie authors,
Mm-hmm.
and they said that a lot of their writing comes from personal trauma
Hmm.
or traumatic things they've seen, in their life, and they draw from that when they comes to creating their story.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember, I wrote something, it's not, published. I'm working on it now, but, something I'm currently working on where I was, something happened and someone retaliated and I said, "Oh, okay. I didn't know that I needed that." It was almost, therapeutic. I didn't know I needed
Yeah.
that. So, just get it out sometimes.
Now,
Mhm.
being an indie author with Amazon and Godless, it's a lot
Mhm.
easier to for authors. I'm gonna say it's not super easy, but it's a lot easier now for authors to get their work out there,
Mhm.
especially if they're doing the self-published route. Now, do you feel like Catch 22 is it's a good
Mhm.
thing and a bad thing?
Mm. It can be. I think that's a loaded question. I think it can be good and bad. It's again, it's easier, and that makes it, it's awesome to be able to just be able to submit your work, and people read it great. If they don't, fine. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, the quality of everything might not be, everything that's out there might not be great either. So it could go either way. Really, I think it's more of a good thing than a bad thing, honestly.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and I definitely agree with the quality. I mean, that's indie
Mm.
anything right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
It's just anybody can get their work out there, and
Right.
there's no gatekeeper or filter out there, so
Mhm.
everything is going through.
Yeah. You could publish, if you don't have anybody, if someone's not really, like you say, gatekeeping, watching, somebody could just publish the most hateful, terrible thing, and it can get out there, and it doesn't need to be out there necessarily. So manifesto.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, overall, I think it's a good thing though because, um, you know, I guess kind of back in the day it was a little harder to get anything out there. No one would. Sometimes people would just put your stuff in, way to the side and never read it, never give it a chance, and it would never see the light of day. Now it's kind of like, well, at least people, are looking at it, they're reading it. It's getting out there, so it's
This
good.
is amazing, and it's given a. I mean, as a reader, it's giving us readers that are
Right.
to see stuff that we normally probably wouldn't see because
Hmm.
it was the industry was bogged down with publicated, big
Hmm.
publications novels. So we can get to see a little some of the indie stuff, that we or authors we wouldn't normally be able to see. So it's a good thing in some
Absolutely.
ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. For this, that, like you said, for the reader as well, because they have more access to more things they can fall in love with. So that's really good
Exactly.
too.
Now, is there a story or a project that you've written and you've put it up on the shelf for whatever reason? You put it up on the shelf
Mhm.
and you're waiting for the right time to put it out.
Yes, um, I'm notorious. If there's one thing that I've been working on forever, and I've been putting it aside forever, um, it's for whatever reason it won't come together. It'll flow really well, and then it just won't come together, and then I'll just put it away and do something else. But as far as the content for putting away for content reasons, just put it out the right time. No, it's just that my brain is the way my brain works. I'll work on something for a while, and then I'll work on something else for a while, and it's the way I am. It's just okay. I'm done with this. I can't get this to work, so I'm gonna work on this, and then I'll go back to that, and things like that. So it's just the way my brain is. It's very hard for me to focus on one thing for a long time to
Time.
get it out. But yeah, but it's a couple of things actually that I've been working on for like maybe 2 years. So that that I'm hoping to get out there by maybe the end of this year, hopefully. So
That'll be
yeah,
awesome. That'll be awesome.
yeah.
Now, now, do you have any like writing rituals? Like I've talked to some authors, and they like to go away for a couple weeks and go to a
Oh
cabin. And
yeah.
some people like to just wake up early in the morning and write. Do you have any habits or writing habits or rituals you like to do?
Um, it's I would love to do it that way. It's really hard for me because my regular job, I worked a 12-hour shift a lot 6 days a
Oh
week,
wow.
and it's night shift. Yeah, it's night shift too.
Mm,
So really, for me, I would love to be able to get okay. I'm gonna get in this mindset, and this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna have this music playing, or I'm gonna do this. But it's kind of like writing sprints. Basically, it's like okay, I gotta write for 10 minutes on my break. Okay, I gotta write for an hour when I get when I wake up. I have to just do it when I can. So it's really hard for me to get a certain ritual, and that can be hard for me. If just for me for my creative reasons because if you're not really in the right mindset, you're just writing words just to get it done. And then
yeah,
when I go back and because I edit as I go, and then I go back and edit the whole thing when I'm finished, when I feel that it's finished. But when I go back and edit, like this is not good, because I wrote it during a 10-minute break and I was just trying to, get some work, get something done. So it's
yeah.
really hard. I wish I could do it that way. I really do, because I feel like it would be more productive and I would, it wouldn't be as much, changing things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's why I give props to like indie creators because
Hmm.
90% are working a full time job
Hmm.
and having to devote time to their project. And I
Hmm.
can imagine, that's tough.
Yeah, it is. I was working. We went to get my oil change today, and that's what I was doing while I was waiting, just on my phone, just writing. So,
So,
yeah, that's pretty much. But you do it when you can. That's really the only way I can do it is to do it whenever I can. So it's pretty much my free time. That's when I'm either writing or reading. So yeah.
now, who's that person once you created, finish writing? Who's that one person that first person that you let read your your masterpiece and you trust
Mhm.
their opinion more than anyone?
My husband. Yeah, I trust his opinion. He'll tell me. He has no problem telling me like, no, no, this is not good. You can do better than this. Um, yeah, and other than him though, I don't let much of my other family read my work because my mother and things like that. She just wouldn't enjoy it. But I
Yeah.
always let him read it first and foremost, and he'll tell me like, "Hey, I like this," or "I don't." Like he has no qualms about it just because we're married. So,
Well, that's
which is
good.
good. I trust that. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely. So,
that's amazing. All right.
mm,
So next, I'm gonna shoot to. I'm gonna give you three hard questions. Are you ready?
okay. Hmm.
All right. First one. Let's go into horror movies. What was the first horror movie that you watched that scared the shit out of you, that freaked you out?
that freaked me out. It's hilarious because the first movie that really scared me was Ghost Story, the really old movie. I think maybe Vincent Price was in it.
Hmm.
Came out in 1980, I think. That movie scared me, but the more violent ones that I'd seen before that did not. So it's kind of cool. But
Really?
that one, yeah, that one really got to me. But when I was really young, so yeah, that one scared me.
Candyman was the one that freaked me out as a kid. Like the original
Yes,
Candyman, it freaked me out.
I love the first Candyman. The first two Candyman movies were so good. The first one especially, and I love the I love to go back and read the history of how all that with Cabrini Green and everything. And the have you ever heard the actual story of the lady, the true crime story? I guess the late. Oh, that
Hmm.
was so scary.
Yes.
That'll freak you out.
Yes.
So when you
It
actually
is.
know that story, oh gosh,
It
makes
is.
it
It's
that
a
much
freaky
scarier.
story. And a lot of people don't
Hmm.
know that, that it's kind of based off of a true story.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I listened to was was it a podcast? It was something I was listening to, a true crime thing, where someone was telling that story, and the guy just came through her medicine cabinet, and I was like, yeah, that was terrifying to think that that could
Yeah.
happen. But yeah, that was scary.
Because I was on a podcast quite a few months ago, and like
Hmm.
we were having a debate by Candyman, and I was telling a story, and the podcast was like, "That's a real story." I was like, "Yeah,
Hmm.
that was based on a real story." I mean, but the people coming through the walls and robbing people.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, terrifying. So, but it's terrible that happened. But you know, like you said, you draw inspiration from the craziest places sometimes. So Clive Barker, he did that for sure.
he 100% did, 100% did.
Yes.
The second question: what horror novel are you reading right now? Or what was the last one you read? If you're not reading one.
The last one I read was Mine by Ellen Kaplan. Um, it was really good, a creepy neighbor story. So that was a really good book. The next one I think I'm getting ready to pick up is I think I'm gonna pick up John Wayne Communale's splatter western. Your dreams will
Oh,
come true when
nice,
you're dead. So yeah, he's one of my
nice.
favorites. I think that's the next one I'm gonna pick up. I actually finished that one this morning, or the mine Ellen Kaplan this morning. So when I go to read again, I'm gonna pick the splatter western up. So
Sweet.
yeah.
All right. And final quick question. This is a horror room question.
Mhm.
Which one of my videos have you seen that like drawn you in and you loved it?
Okay. I can't remember the lady's name. She wrote Demon Wishes. Demon Wish. The author that wrote Demon Wish. I can't remember
Oh,
her name, but that was a really good interview.
yes, yes. I can't think of her
Yeah.
name right now myself, but yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, that
Yes.
was a really good interview, and then I've been just like from there, just because I've discovered you through Facebook and everything when you and I were talking, and I've been just watching your videos, and that one really drew me in. That was a really good interview.
Thank you, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you. Yes,
yeah.
I love shows because I there's not that many channels that like
Mhm.
YouTube channels or podcasts that like interview women of horror like and like
Mhm.
I try to I want to interview everybody indie because you guys rock and you guys don't get enough attention and spotlight.
Thank you.
But there's a lot of women who are rock stars in the horror industry, and especially in indies. They don't get the spotlight.
Yeah. And and it's crazy because I had no
Excuse me.
idea. Oh, sure. I had no idea how many women indie authors were out there, until I really started reading like the extreme and things like that. It's just like you almost see at least
A lot.
equal amount of women authors than you do as you do men. Sometimes I don't know, maybe more. It's just so many, and they're just like they're out there, they're doing it, and they're just like, you know what? Y'all think, y'all don't have y'all don't have this in the box. We got this too. And it's just like
Exactly.
you aspire for that.
Especially women because women go through a lot. Okay, I'm gonna say when women go through a lot more fucking traumatic experiences or are acceptable to more traumatic experiences than any man is. So like to put that
Yeah.
into horror, I think,
Hmm.
some women kick ass when it comes to it because I mean they're bringing it from deep inside.
Yes, and you're right because you get trauma as you're growing up, not only from, oh, it's not just, oh, men are bad and men are gonna hurt. It's not just being afraid of men or what men are gonna do, but you have women against each other as well. And I've
Yeah,
seen women get just so violent with each other, and they're just, and people be traumatized, by things that other women have done to them. And it's just like you pin that up, and once it comes out, you know, it's just like I said, it's therapeutic, and you're just getting it out there, and you're like, and then your hair is all over the place. You're like, okay, I needed that. So yeah,
putting it out there, putting it out there.
let it out. Absolutely.
That's what you gotta do. Now, Shannon, where
Absolutely.
can everyone find you?
Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Shan Bradner. That's where anyone can find me. All my work is on Godless. Those are my only two social media platforms, though. But yeah, all my work is on Godless, and that's pretty much where I'm at.
Awesome. But everyone, get out there, get on Gallus, and check out Curb Stomp. I'm halfway through it, and I'm definitely enjoying it. Shannon,
Thank you
it's
so
been a
much.
pleasure coming on. Thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I would love to have you on
Thank you so
anytime. You're,
much.
you're more than welcome.
Hey, anytime, I'm ready. Let's do it. Had a
Sounds good.
ball.
Sounds good. Because I do want to do the next couple of months. I want to do women authors, horror authors, like a live video
Mhm.
roundtable. So I'm definitely going to invite you to that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I'd be thrilled to do that. That would be amazing. Thank you.
Amazing.
And I've had a blast.
Thank you. Thank you. Everyone, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Bye.